I know, arcade ports back in the day were usually not that great to begin with, so an arcade port on the Game Boy would probably be even worse. At most, the best thing you would think I could gush about would be, hey, it's a surprisingly decent port! I would normally absolutely agree with that. Arcade games are something I do enjoy on occasion, but I tend to be more interested in games where getting a better and better high score is not the main focus of the game. Instead, I would usually gravitate towards games with more of a story progression, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mario Land 2, or Link's Awakening. Sure, some of these stories weren't that deep, but they were more interesting than most arcade games to me. Now, before we talk about the game, I want us to jump in the yesteryear machine and head back to the 90s. Back when I was an adorable kid, full of starry-eyed hopes and dreams for the future, free of the crippling anxiety and self-doubt soon to plague me. Hey, it's okay, buddy. It's not all bad. When you get older, you get to watch horror films. Oh, wait, I hated those as a kid. What did I like? DuckTales comes back and it's pretty good. Hey, there we go. Anyway, I don't remember whether it was my birthday or Christmas, but I ended up getting a Game Boy as a present. I carried this thing around with me practically everywhere. When we would go visit family, you could see me in the corner playing on it. My parents didn't like me playing games at dinner, but that didn't stop me from trying to bring it if we ate out. And what was the reason I spent more time than necessary on the toilet? The Game Boy. I love playing games, and since I didn't always get TV time to play the NES or Sega Genesis, it was nice to have an alternative.
But Patrick, the original Game Boy was too bulky to fit in most pockets. There's no way you could have carried this around everywhere.
Yeah, no, as an adult, the 3DS fitting in my pocket, it's still pretty bulky, so as a kid trying to fit the original Game Boy in his pocket, I'd probably accidentally drop it at a diner and then leave it there forever, just like Teddy. I miss you, Teddy. I miss you so goddamn much. Well, actually, this is where the other part of my present comes into play. Because not only did I get the Game Boy, but I also got the Game Boy shoulder bag. Okay, for those of you who've never seen this, it may look kinda silly now, but trust me, this thing was awesome. It had a pocket for the Game Boy itself, of course, a pocket for the games with like elastic straps in them so you can make sure your games don't fly around all willy-nilly. I think that's where I got the clear game cases to put in the bag itself. And of course there was a third pocket, a pocket you could put anything in, like snacks. I mainly used it for like batteries. I had a magnifying screen that had a light attachment to it. And of course later I put in my link cable when I was wanting to trade Pokemon. Every time I went to daycare, I walked in like a fashion icon. But, I mean, what do you expect from someone wearing Bugle Boy shorts and a cowlick? Now, unlike today, I didn't have a large library of games to ignore and never play. I think at most I ended up with like 10 Game Boy games. Over time, I would end up playing the games that I loved so much that playing them again seemed like a kind of dull prospect. So that meant the only game left was Donkey Kong, and I thought, why not? Maybe I could become a wizard at this game and get the high score every time I found an arcade machine. So I popped in the game, hit the switch, and started playing. It starts off with Donkey Kong punching a hole through a brick wall, revealing his muscular visage, and playing a pretty catchy title tune. After hitting start, it brings me to a file select screen. Kind of weird seeing as the arcade game only had a few levels and was score-based, but thinking nothing of it, I picked an empty file and began to play. It starts with the iconic construction level, showing Donkey Kong climbing beams, then bending them with the sheer power of his stomps! Oh, take that, beams! This version of the level is a bit smaller compared to its arcade counterpart, with 2 beams missing, but it still looks pretty good. I jumped over barrels and climbed ladders until I reached Pauline, causing Donkey Kong to snatch her up and move us to the next area. I continued through the next few levels, which were the same as the arcade counterpart, but just smaller. I ended up at the last level where you have to walk over spots on the structure beams to make them fall under Donkey Kong. Soon enough, I had the last spot open up, the floor crumbled, Donkey fell, and Pauline and Mario were reunited, ready to start the process all over again, as I'd seen so many times in the arcade. But then, Donkey Kong jumps up, making the floor fall, causing Mario to land on his head. Donkey Kong catches Pauline and runs off the screen. Mario miraculously gets up without any visible trauma from his near-fatal concussion and gives chase. A little cutscene happens, showing Donkey Kong fitting through a small door into the city and locking it behind him. Mario runs into the door, providing a much-needed bit of comic relief to ease the tense scene that we just watched. Though I'm sure it didn't help with his concussion at all. He notices a key nearby, grabs it, unlocks the door, and enters the city. Finally, the scene ends, putting you on a level select screen for the city. Now, again, I had only thought that this game was going to be a port of the arcade version of Donkey Kong. I didn't know it was going to be something completely different. The game completely took me by surprise because of this. Sure, it was still going to be a platformer using similar mechanics as the arcade Donkey Kong, but it was doing much more than just that. Mario's way more spry in this game than his arcade counterpart, becoming the first instance we see of the acrobatic Mario we all know and love today. As far as I know, wire spinning, somersaults, even a form of the triple jump all first appeared in this game. One of the moves from this game that I haven't seen represented recently is this one where you have to press down to duck and then you press the jump button to do a handstand. Although I can understand why they don't really use it for the 3D platformers, I just kind of miss the move and I'd like to see it again. And all this would be completely surprising to you if you didn't read the manual, which I only did if I ever got stuck, or if you didn't press start at the title screen. If you jammed out to the title screen music long enough, you'd be treated to a little scene of Mario going through his gymnastic routine to show you his new moves. It's pretty cute. But the game had more than just those great new move mechanics. It would usually introduce them in a cutscene, like having a platform be destroyed by Donkey Kong, only for Mario to make a temporary one using a new item in a block, or Mario using a new type of hammer to break through new types of blocks. You would use these items as well as Mario's newfound platforming abilities to complete two types of levels. The most common are the puzzle-like levels where you must bring a giant key to a door in order to proceed. In these levels, you can also find Pauline's handbag, hat, and parasol. Getting all three of these will allow you to play one of two different types of bonus games, either one that is a slot machine or the other that is a roulette wheel. All of it is just in order to get extra lives. After playing 3 of these key levels, you'll usually end up on a Donkey Kong stage for the 4th level. These act like new levels set in the classic Donkey Kong format. You need to platform, climb ladders, avoid dangers and pitfalls in order to get next to Pauline. However, a big change to this format comes when you get to the last level in each world. Here, Pauline is usually placed out of jumping reach, so you can't get to her. Donkey Kong is back to his old barrel-throwing ways. Sometimes these barrels end up landing in an upright position and are capable of being picked up. So naturally, you grab a barrel, run up to him, and toss it right in his face. After the standard 3 hits, Donkey Kong will give up, grab Pauline, and run to the next world. One thing you can do to speed up this process is to be in that cool handstand position I was talking about earlier and sit under a barrel as it's falling towards you. This will bounce the barrel off of Mario's feet and land it next to him, allowing you to be able to pick up the barrel and toss it directly into Donkey Kong's face where it belongs. This is also an extremely useful tool when Donkey Kong ends up stomping the ground, causing debris to fall from the sky. You move slower, but you won't end up getting killed by falling dumbbells or baking pans. You'll end up chasing Donkey Kong through 9 worlds in total, 10 if you want to count the original levels as a world. These levels will scale in difficulty, but the more capable you are with Mario's abilities and the better puzzle solver you are, the easier of a time you'll end up having. I remember being a kid and getting stuck on some of these stages. For the most part now, I died because of the dangers of the level rather than trying to solve the puzzle and running out of time. But a few puzzles still made me have to think carefully about what I was doing. These worlds also vary in many ways that we've come to know as standards in these sorts of games. There's the desert world, forest world, ice world, and lava world. Within each world's levels are NPCs that might be friendly or dangerous. Usually these characters match up with the area, like bugs in the forest world. Sometimes these make less sense but work for the puzzle, like this night on a cruise ship. One of my favorite NPCs are these monkeys on a few of the jungle levels. They're usually there so you can hold onto their tail as they move around, taking you with them so you can reach another part of the stage. I ended up finding out that you can hold on to their tail and something else, much like Donkey Kong Jr. does in the arcade. But doing this will make them squeak in protest. I always felt really bad for doing this, so I would always try to move really quickly to ensure that they don't get hurt, because I love them and I don't like the sounds that they make. Please stop crying, I love you! Eventually, you'll arrive at the 9th world. This map looks similar to the other maps with the 3 key levels and a Donkey Kong level, but that's deceitful because on this map, every level is a Donkey Kong level. These levels are also some of the hardest ones, and the music helps match that intensity. There's one stage I remember being gut-clenchingly difficult. Every single block you step on in this stage is a sand block that crumbles when you walk over it. However, unlike other games, these blocks don't come back after they disappear, they stay gone. Everywhere you run and every tumble spilled from dodging enemies will destroy the ground, so if you're taking too long, you'll end up destroying all the ground and you can't progress and end up falling to your death. The best way to beat this level is to keep moving, use your acrobatic skills, and try not to fall off. But any relief that you get from beating this level will be short-lived, as soon enough you'll be facing off against Donkey Kong for the final time. Now this fight music is rather epic and pretty fitting for a final boss fight, but it doesn't really match what you're doing, which is the same thing that you've been doing the entire time. You're grabbing barrels and hitting Donkey Kong with them. There is a rather strong wind that can make things more difficult, but you're probably not going to have that much of a difficult time with this fight. Once he's hit 3 times, Donkey Kong falls off the tower. Mario and Pauline are reunited and it plays a nice short little melody signaling your final victory. Almost. The next cutscene shows Donkey Kong falling off the tower. It counts up your points, awards your extra lives like normal, and takes you back to the screen you were just at. You're still at the head of the tower, but since you can't really select a level in the first place, you'll probably hit A to see what happens, and... Oh, that can't be good. It shows Mario and Pauline lovingly staring each other down when Donkey Kong thunks to the ground, causing Pauline and Mario to fall off the platform and destroying most of the stage. Mushrooms begin to fly around, and Donkey Kong's head soon appears from the bottom of the stage, playing a much more menacing version of the familiar Donkey Kong theme. He's soon followed by his giant hands that start hitting the ground, somehow knocking debris from the sky? You'll have to time your jumps in order to reach the top platforms where a barrel lands. Here you can start grabbing barrels and chucking them at Donkey Kong's head. After being hit twice, he'll retreat and return with a slightly changed tactic. He'll still hit the ground, but now he smashes his fists together, flattening you if you're not careful. After getting hit twice more, he'll lower himself again, then raise up a hand and strike the stage 3 times in a row. This is generally where I either end up falling off the stage or getting hit by debris and dying. He raises up once more, allowing you to give him 2 more barrels to the face. With the final blow, Donkey Kong falls off the tower once more. What follows is a cutscene where Pauline and Mario stand in a familiar location that looks a lot like Mushroom Kingdom, but is probably the bottom of the tower. Pauline tosses a mushroom at Mario, causing him to grow. Seconds after finally reaching his full height, Donkey Kong ends up falling on Mario, crushing him into the ground. After a few fidgets, Mario arises with a dazed, helpless Donkey Kong raised above him. They're then joined by Donkey Kong Jr. to pose for a photo leading to the credits. It's been years since I've played this game, but I'm glad to say coming back to it felt incredibly natural. Mario's movements still feel pretty fluid. The gameplay is simple, but can be challenging when timing jumps and solving puzzles. The music is really catchy and fun to hum along to as you're playing the game. My personal favorites are the title theme, the jungle theme, and the semi-final battle music. The only knock I have against it is that it could possibly be really frustrating to figure out a few puzzles and die over and over again on difficult stages. As a kid, I remember being frustrated with a particular forest level where you had to use a bridge switch in order to get a ladybug on a certain part of the stage to reach the higher area. But I didn't know that you could re-trap the dangerous bugs back behind the bridges that originally caged them, so I ended up dying a lot to them. I would really recommend playing this game if it sounds fun to you. Unfortunately, the only ways to play it legally are to grab the original Game Boy cart or to get it from the 3DS Virtual Store. Maybe with the Nintendo Switch Online program that they're having, they can take a look at their back catalog and add this to the program. but that would probably be some time off if they ever decide to add it at all. Hey, thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it. This took a long time for me to create. It was mainly a motivation thing, like sitting down and actually doing it, but I did miss the deadline of getting this uploaded in September and then October, but hey, it's out in November. My goal is to have another Game Gush video uploaded in 2 months, so in January, hopefully, but I mean, we'll have to see about that. But in the meantime, I would definitely like to upload voice acting videos. So whether it's an anime dub or a story that I'm reading aloud, like narrating, that's something I would like to put in between Game Gush videos, since those will be easier to edit, since all I'm doing is sitting here like doing this, like just talking in front of a thing and just having some sort of visual go on, right? So that's what I want to do next, but what I need you to do is do the call of action thing. Yes, please sub and like and comment and everything. It really does show me that I at least have an audience I'm appealing to. And if you leave a comment, I'm going to do my best to be, I don't communicate a lot, but I'm going to do my best to change that. I'm trying to be more on social media in that way, and hopefully I can build some sort of thing out of it. I don't know, this is just kind of me winging it, and if you liked me winging it, thanks, join me. All right, bye.